Welcome to Our Highest Work, a podcast where we are gathering and sharing the best ideas for spiritually based business success, and where we are gathering a community, a global community of wise and loving mutual support. My name is George Cow, and welcome to episode 53, where we are talking about getting the right things done. I will be sharing with you my 5 techniques for getting more done, or I should say more of the right things done every day. How do I stay productive? How do I stay effective? So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. As always, I want to begin with a quote, and this quote is from one of the co-founders of Kiva.org, one of my favorite organizations. They allow all of us to contribute, small amounts if we want, or big amounts, to help third world entrepreneurs be able to have the money they need to build a business and therefore improve their families and their community. Kiva.org, a really great organization. And the co-founder has a quote that says this. Her name is Jessica Jackley. She says, I'm sorry about that. Okay. The co-founder said, "As all entrepreneurs know, you live and die by your ability to prioritize. You must focus on the most important, mission-critical tasks each day and night, and then share, delegate, delay, or skip the rest." So I really like that. And then that's a great way to frame productivity. Productivity is not about doing everything today. It's also not about doing everything yourself. If you, even as a solopreneur, which I know many of us listen, as part of this community are, I'm a solopreneur, but it doesn't mean I do everything myself. Whatever I don't do well, whatever I don't wish to learn how to do well, whatever basically those 2 things, whatever I don't do well or don't wish to learn how to do well, I think about how can I give this task to somebody else who would do this better than me, or who really wants to learn how to do this well. Does that make sense? So, so here are the 5 principles. Here are the 5, you might call them techniques or methods or principles. The first one is back to the how would I live life vision exercise. Remember, I shared this exercise with you, the 7 questions, in episode number 50. And that exercise really frames how I know what to do with my day, how I know what to do with my week, how I set priorities for the month or for the year. If you haven't come to that kind of clarity of vision about what's most important in your life and what is truly what most motivates and inspires you about what time you have left in this life, if you haven't done that exercise, it's very hard to get the right things done, because you will just be feeling like you have to run the treadmill of accomplishing this little thing, that little thing. Emails come in, you feel like you have to clear your inbox or read this email, that email. You feel like you have to catch up on Facebook. You feel like you have to return all your phone calls. You become you become controlled by the external world when you haven't yet clarified for yourself what your life priorities are, your life vision. So that's really my first advice to you about how to get more of the right things done, to do it more effectively and efficiently, is to go back to episode 50, and even if you don't have time to read, don't have time to listen to it, you can go to the episode 50 Facebook thread, and I put the 7 questions there so you can just read them and do them. When you do it, you will find yourself re-motivated, re-energized, and you will find that, oh my gosh, you have so little time in this life. And when we recognize how little time we have in this life, we suddenly become much more productive. Because when you get that clarity and that motivation, you have the energy and the strength and the courage to say no to all the little things that don't really matter for your life mission. And that's one of the greatest challenges to productivity is when we say yes to everything. And we don't even know we're saying yes to everything. We just do whatever's in front of us, right? Whatever email just comes in, we respond to it. Whatever Facebook posting comes in, we read it. We become a victim of our circumstances. So you need to increase your courage and clarity about what to say no to. And that's why the Life Vision exercise is so incredibly helpful. So again, that was episode number 50, so check that out. And I'll just say a bit about what I got out of the Life Vision exercise is being productive for me is primarily about serving the world. A lot of entrepreneurs define being productive as, how does this hour of work make me more money? And I used to think that way as well. I'm grateful to say I no longer think that way, because I feel like that way of thinking is extremely short term focused. It's focused only on this human life. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know my worldview, my spiritual worldview is that our soul goes way beyond this life. This life is a drop in the bucket of the ocean for how long our consciousness lasts. I don't know how many lives we live. Some people say we live just a few dozen lives. Some people say we live millions of lives. But whatever it is, I know our consciousness is eternal. You cannot be destroyed. You will never die. Your consciousness only becomes clearer, generally speaking, over time. More powerful, more loving, more wise. And so this life is just a tiny little, and pardon me if you hear little sounds in the background. My puppy and cats are playing. But this life is just a tiny little instance in the lifetime of your consciousness. So what I believe this life is about, the life purpose, and I've talked about this in a previous episode as well, is this life is about growing up in your soul, which means growing in virtues, love, wisdom, courage, humility, that kind of stuff. Growing up by serving others, right? When we serve others, when we learn how to serve others, we learn to be more humble, to say, you know what, my needs are not as important. When we get outside our little bubble of our life and see how much need there is in the world, we hopefully get more humble and we get more courageous and we get more selfless. Otherwise, we're just in our own little bubble. We always think about our own profit, how many clients do I have, can I get more clients, and about my comfort and my security. Get outside of our little bubble and we get motivated, we get wise, we get purposeful about serving the world. And as we do that, we grow in the ways that we truly are here for, which is virtues. So besides serving the world, right, the Life Vision, there's also, and I'll give you one example. Actually, I want to share about how I serve the world. When I talk with my prospective clients, the people who could hire me for coaching or consulting, I actually show them how to find my competitors. I'd say, you know what? Have you considered this person and that person as well? Because they might serve you even better for what you're talking about. I show them how to find, for example, I show them how to use Odesk.com to find lots of other contractors, coaches, consultants, contractors for probably much cheaper than they would pay me. And I wanted to make sure they know that option, so that because guess what? I follow the goal. I do my best to follow the golden rule in my business. What would I want if I were in their shoes? Well, I would want to know my options. I would want to be empowered with my options, because if I die tomorrow, right? Remember the Life Vision exercise. If I were to die tomorrow, I want them to say, you know, that was a good person. That person didn't just say, well, just hire me. I'm the only person who can serve you. No, that person said, you have other options. I'm one of them. And of course, when I do that with my prospective clients, some of them say, no, George, I want to work with you. You have no competitor. I don't care if I pay a lot more working with you. You're the one I want to work with. So anyway, it's an example of how it doesn't seem to make sense in business, but when we do that, people truly trust us. And if it's the right timing and if it's the right pricing, they will work with us, right? In the next episode, in fact, of this podcast, I'm going to show you how to use Odesk to find all the help you need in the world for very affordable prices. Pretty sure you can afford them. If you're willing to hire outside of your own country, I think of it as supporting the third world. You know, Philippines, India, Bangladesh, places like that, Pakistan. If you're willing to support the third world entrepreneurs there, they're happy to serve you, doing all kinds of stuff. Internet marketing, search engine optimization, website design, coaching, business coaching, copywriting, writing your stuff, whatever it is you want to do. They're happy to do it $5 to $15 an hour. And $15 an hour would be like experts, you know, living in that part of the world. So, and one word about competition. As I said, if you truly focus on giving to the world, then in the eyes of your ideal audience, there is no competitor to you, right? They will only want to work with you. And there's always people out there. There's always enough people out there who can afford your services. There are many, many well-off people in the world. And if you follow the marketing plans that I've been sharing with you throughout this podcast, your visibility will grow to such an extent that you will have those people finding you, or you'll be finding them. Okay? So the second technique that I want to share with you about how to get more of the right things done is this. Open a blank document, okay, and just list out, well, first of all, open a blank document and list out all the things you want to do. All the things you want to do. Maybe it's in a particular area. Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's just your day, like all the things you want to do today. And then draw a line. Okay. Well, first of all, list out all the things you want to do. That's the first step. The second step is to ask yourself, if I were only to get 3 things done today, what would I want those 3 things to be? And then reprioritize the list so that those 3 things are on top. Now, this is probably easier to do if you use a computer document, because then you can cut and paste items so that the most important 3 things are at the top. And then guess what? Draw a line underneath item number 3 and say this to yourself: I will do these 3 things first, because if I were only to do anything today, I would want it to be these 3 things. So this is very powerful, and this sounds so simple, but let me ask you, when was the last time you did this? Right? Well, when was the last time I did this? Whenever I'm confused, whenever I'm feeling like I'm procrastinating, I do this. If I were to get only 3 things done today, and maybe you only have an hour today to build your business, then ask yourself, if I were only to get 1 thing done in my business today, what would that 1 thing be? And just do that 1 thing. You know, some of the things you might be doing today are things like catching up on Facebook, posting on Facebook, you know, watching so-and-so's webinar training about, you know, marketing, reading your emails, blah, 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 all these different things that you could be doing today. But if you were only to do 3 things today, most important 3 things, what would the 3 things be? And you can use this exercise in whatever scope you want. So for example, you could say, all right, I've got 4 hours to build my business today. I've got 4 hours to work on my business this weekend or whatever. In those 4 hours, what are all the things I would want to do? If I had 400 hours, what are all the things I would do? Okay, now, if in those 4 hours I can only accomplish 3 things, what would I want those 3 things to be? And then put those 3 things at the top of the list and draw a line to say, I'm not going to go below this line to do all the different things. Check my email, check on Facebook, you know, whatever, okay? You know, listen to this, watch that, consume this content, whatever. Okay, catch up on my blogs, read my email newsletters, nothing. All those things you wrote down, they're not going to get done until you do these 3 things. I promise you, if you do this, and practice doing this. This is a skill to practice. If you practice doing this, you will look back a month later and find yourself having been so much more getting the right things done than just keeping busy but wondering, how come my business is not growing? Okay? Now, one of the challenges, of course, is that when you get to those 3 things, maybe those 3 things feel really big to you. Maybe they feel scary to you. And this is when you go back to the joyful part of joyful productivity. The last episode, episode number 52, I gave you 5 simple but powerful techniques on how to experience joy in your daily work. So if you find those 3 things to be scary, overwhelming, or you're procrastinating on those 3 things for whatever reason, go back to the techniques from the last episode and you will find yourself having the courage, the clarity, and the joy in doing those things that matter most. Make sense? Okay, so let me go on to the next technique. And the next technique is a simple way to think about how to spend your time. Because you might be saying, well, George, what should those 3 activities be? Right? What should those three activities be? And my simple way is to give you 4 C's, the letter C. Clients, create, connect, and consume. Okay? Clients, create, connect, and consume. This is what I mean. These are 4 C's that generally people do in their business, especially solopreneurs who are trying to build a business. They focus on their clients, whether serving their clients or enrolling clients. They focus on creating content. And a lot of people create content so that they can market their business. You know, they might write blog posts, they might record podcasts, they might do videos, they might post inspirational quotes on Facebook. That's all content. They might go and give talks in different clubs or associations in their neighborhood or in their city. That's all creating content. They might be writing books, recording audios, etc. So that's all content. And content marketing, the idea of content marketing is to create content for the purpose of bringing more people of the prospective clients to you, doing search engine optimization. If you write more blog posts, chances are people are more likely to find you on Google, etc. So I think about creating content as my legacy. I have been so motivated again by the life vision exercise that, you know what, I don't know if I have 6 months left to live. You don't know if you have 6 months left to live. None of us know. And so I think about when I create content, I don't try to hold back and go, what's the most juiciest introductory pieces I can give, and then try to get people interested in, you know, asking me for more, that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that that's bad or evil or whatever. I'm saying that that's something a lot of my peers do, and a lot of my clients do, and that's something I taught for a long time, and that's good. But I think even better is to shift your mindset about creating content to legacy. Okay. You create for legacy. You think about, what if I were to leave? What would I leave if I had 6 months left to live? Leave your best. Leave your best so that when you're gone, people say, that was a good person. That person taught us so much, right? And so that's how I think about content. The next one is connect. Connect is to be always nurturing your referral network. So this may be going to Facebook and sending private messages to people you want to connect more with. This may be commenting in Facebook groups or Google Plus communities, commenting about other people's postings, being supportive, being helpful. Okay, so connecting. And consume, finally, is basically what so many of us spend too much time doing. Listening to podcasts, you know, watching videos, and reading blog posts. You're reading Facebook. You spend probably too much time consuming content. And it really, to be productive, you really should be doing things in the order I just listed. Clients. Okay, are you serving your clients? Are you enrolling clients? Second one is, are you creating content as a legacy? Now, I actually look at those 2 things as equal. And my time budget is, and those 2 things are equal in my time budget. Clients, creating content as a legacy, connecting. So you're continually fostering your referral network by being supportive and helpful in various online groups, such as, you know, in our highest work, we have an online community. If you come and be helpful there, commenting supportively or helpfully on other people's posts, you are connecting. Okay, connect. Clients, create, connect, and consume. Consume is the least value thing that you can be doing. Reading blog posts. And people say, well, George, I want to keep up with my field. I want to know what the latest things are. And I will tell you, that is a never-ending treadmill. You'll never be able to keep up. So rather than trying to keep up, This is how I think about content consumption. I consume content for the purpose of creating content. So when I think about, okay, what am I going to leave behind for this world? What is the thing I'm passionate about? What's the thing I'm good at that I want to leave behind in the form of YouTube videos, podcasts, blog posts, etc.? Then as I create that content, I will do research for that content. Now that is productive consumption, not just reading email newsletters or reading the web. What are you doing that for? You're storing it away, that information away in your brain for what purpose? Just in case? No. Store that information. No, consume content either for the purpose of, for your clients, if you're to serve them better because your clients have a question and you need to do some research to help them out, great idea for consuming content. To create content for the world as a legacy, great way to consume and then create. But consume for the purpose of creating or connecting. If you're helping out in an online group and someone is asking a question, you thought, you know what, I'd be interested to know that too. You go ahead and go to Google and do some research and then report back and say, hey, this is what I found. This answer might help you. That is a productive consumption task. Does that make sense? Okay, so last two things, and then we're going to close out this episode. Last two quick techniques. Okay, technique number 4 is to have a actually, you know what? Let me share this one with you first. Have a time for every major project in your life. And what I'm going to show you now is my sample time budget. So I'm actually going to show you my screen. If you just give me a moment, and those listening can watch the video later to get that. But I'll try to explain it audio vocally, so you can get it too. Okay, so here I am showing you. Okay, here it is. My sample time budget, and I'm actually going to give you a link to this time budget as part of the episode notes, so you can emulate this if you want. I follow this to the best of my ability, and notice that I have a time. I have set time. I have set hours in my week for every important project in my business. Okay. So first of all, I have breaks. Okay, I do. Now that we have a dog, I have to do dog walking. So mid-morning breaks, afternoon break. I even I walk my dog basically at least 3 times a day. Actually more than that, but sort of more of the major walks, I guess. So mid-morning break, afternoon break, as well as lunch and a nap. And then I have my client time, client one-on-one calls or responding to their emails and group postings. So that takes me about 13 hours a week. And then I spend a bunch of time serving the public for free. I spend also about 12 and a quarter hours a week. So I spend the same amount of time serving my clients as I do serving the public for free. And the free stuff is like this podcast, preparing this content, sharing it, posting useful, helpful things on social media. Now, I know a lot of people, when they post on Facebook, they post about their personal stuff, like, oh, and that's fine. They post about their children, they post about their pets. I post about I don't have children right now, so I post about my pets, maybe once a month. But try to think about your social media also as your legacy. When you leave this earth, people look at your social media profiles. Are they going to say, wow, this person shared a lot about little Tommy and what they had for lunch? Okay, that's fine. But what else does this person share that's truly going to be helpful for the world? So I always think about that. So my social media is about caring and sharing useful things. I also try to be interviewed on other podcasts or so in fact, anyone listening to this, if you have a podcast, you want to interview me, I'm always open to being interviewed on other podcasts, so reach out to me and let's see if we can work something out. And then I have other free helping and content creation. So in my client alumni group, they're not paying anything in a lifetime alumni support. So I go there whenever I can to help out and answer questions and in our highest work as well. And of course on Facebook, Google, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I have my morning reviews. My morning reviews, I actually have a link that I put in the note in my time budget that I show you. What literally do I do in my half hour each morning? Okay, what are the things I do in my half hour each morning to get ready for my day? So anyway, that link will all be in the show notes. in the episode notes. And end of day review, I also spend an hour at the end of the day. What do I do? And at the end of morning review is where I look at any urgent and important emails. That's part of it. There's other things I do. And then end of day is where I clear my email inbox, but including other activities as well. And then I have personal systems improvement, which is basically in my mind map, my simple, my authentic livelihood mind map. I have a branch called Habits, and in my Habits branch, I have things that I do to improve my effectiveness. And those of you who are looking at the video, I'm just showing you real quick. Success habits is what it's called. And so productivity habits and all these habits are the things I do in my personal systems improvement time. And then peer coaching or mastermind. So during this time, I talk with a peer. I talk with a peer coach. Someone who's at a similar level of business development as me, and we help each other out, that kind of thing. And then marketing time, client enrollment time. This is important as well, and I spend about 4 hours a week doing that. And so there's various items I do there, including looking at my launch template. My launch template is also in this spreadsheet that I'm showing you all in the yearly template area. And so this is all my launch plan. So I literally give you my launch plan right here. And I'll put this in the show notes and episode notes as well. So have a time budget. Okay, if you don't have a time budget, what that means is you are just doing whatever you feel like doing, and if you do whatever you feel like doing, you'll just be getting random results in your life. And if you like that, that's great. Some people like just doing whatever they want to do, and that's fine. But if you're ready to be sure you are investing the thing that you are given that is most precious, is not money, okay? It's not assets you have. Your most precious investment resource is your time and your energy. So how are you investing the thing you are given, your time, your energy? And this is why it's important to have, I think, a time budget so that you can invest your time wisely. And the final technique that I want to share with you is to have a place for everything, to have a place for everything. And to liberally use the trash can or the recycling bin. And so what I mean is this. When any information comes in, do you know where to put it? So for every project that I have a document. So I put my notes for that project in that document. So for example, I have a document about marketing my business. So if I get an idea, I'm clearing my email, a peer of mine suggests an idea, or I learn about some idea on Facebook or something, think, this idea I'm going to think about next time I'm working my marketing time. I'm going to think about this idea. I'm going to consider this tool. I'm going to maybe implement this process. Then I put that idea into my marketing document. If I see an idea about how to serve my clients more well, then next time I'm working on responding to my clients, I'll look at that my client improvement document or whatever and just say, hey, maybe I should implement that idea. So have a place for everything. And if an idea comes through to you, you're reading your emails, you're looking at Facebook or whatever, idea comes to you, and you don't know where to put it in the trash. Too many of us, maybe you, try to accumulate information just in case we might use this tool one day. Just forget that. If you need something one day, you go to google.com and search how to solve that problem. Or you come to our Highest Work community and ask, how do I solve this problem in my business? Don't try to keep information unless it's connected to one of your projects and you have a set time to work on that project. And when you work on that project, you open that document and then think about the things or read that article or watch that video, etc. Okay? So I hope that makes sense to you. If you have any questions about this episode, I always welcome your feedback and your questions, and you can go to www.ourhighestwork.com/53, and I would love you to click on the Facebook thread and ask me your questions or make comments there, because it's easier for me to keep up with that rather than the YouTube comments. And so until our next episode, remember that you are being cared for by the divine in every moment more securely than you could ever want to have. So your future and your now is truly secure. And because of that, until our next episode, keep your thoughts positive and keep your heart open. Be well.